I recently saw a documentary where an interviewer asked a man living in a remote village in Europe what he was doing. It was in the middle of a beautiful summer day. The man looked at him and said, "I'm sitting and I'm waiting for winter." That answer struck me. It was so simple yet so deep that it made me pause the documentary and think for a while. In our world, waiting is a failure. We're taught that success is a permanent summer, constant growth, and constant production. But that man knew something we've forgotten. Success isn't about how much you can produce, it's about how much of your life you actually own. For years, I followed the definition of success that society fed me, and it almost seemed objective. High pay, high status, high stress. I didn't question it. I thought if I just worked hard enough, I'd eventually reach a finish line where I could finally breathe. But I did not realize these were not my goals. They are the goals of the system that needs us to keep running. When you stop to wait for winter, you're essentially hitting the escape key. You're realizing that you can change the win condition of your own life. So the problem with society's definition is that it treats us like machines. Machines don't need seasons. Machines don't need to hibernate. We've created a world where we're forced to bloom even in the winter. Our bodies naturally want to slow down when the light fades and the air gets cold, but our job demands the same 9 to 5 intensity regardless of the rhythm of the earth. Our ancestors' lives were governed by the sun. When the sun went down, work stopped. When the season changed, the type of work changed. Now, we have LED lights and 24/7 connectivity. We've conquered the dark, but in doing so, we've also lost our ability to rest. We are living against our own nature, and we wonder why we're all burnt out. We calculate our success by the number on the paycheck, but we forget to subtract the tax. Not the government tax, but the life tax. The cost of the medication for the stress, the cost of the convenience food because we're too tired to cook, the cost of the therapy, and the biggest cost of all, the time you spend being miserable just to afford the life you're too tired to enjoy. I spent a lot of time listening to people who walked away. People who left high-level corporate roles, six-figure salaries, and the prestige of a senior title to do something most of societies consider a step backward. They started working with their hands. And when you ask them why, they all seem to say the same thing. They don't talk about the money they lost. They all talk about the satisfaction they found. They found more peace in a single day of physical labor than in an entire year of strategic meetings and value alignment workshops. Why? Because there is a deep biological peace in doing something tangible. In the corporate world, your work is often invisible. It's an email, a spreadsheet, a side deck that exists only on a glowing screen. You can work for 10 hours and have nothing to show for it that you can actually touch. But when you build a stone, or fix an engine, or plant a tree, at the end of the day, you can turn around and see that the world is physically different because you are there. The results are real. You can see them. You can touch them. Your brain is hardwired to understand that kind of success. This need for the real is exactly why we feel the magnetic pull toward nature. It's the same underlying principle. When I was traveling, visiting countries where the pace of life hasn't yet been fully consumed by the digital grind, I started to notice a pattern. I'd find myself standing on a cliffside or walking through an ancient forest, and for the first time in years, the noise in my head just disappeared. In those moments, I realized that my happiest experiences had a price tag of 0. I wasn't succeeding by any metric my old boss would recognize. I wasn't networking or being productive. I was just a human standing in its natural habitat. Think about the people I mentioned earlier, the ones in the rural villages waiting for winter. Their work with their hands is perfectly synchronized with the world around them. They don't fight the rain, they work with it. They don't ignore the winter, they prepare for it. We've been taught that success is the ability to ignore the world, to live in climate-controlled boxes and work the same hours every day, regardless of what's happening outside. But when you spend time in nature, you realize that nothing in the forest is productive all year round. Everything has seasons of growth and seasons of deep, quiet rest. When we spend time in the wild, we aren't just escaping, we're remembering. We are remembering that we are a part of that cycle, that we aren't meant to be on 24/7, that success isn't about how much we can produce in the summer of our lives, but whether we've built a life that allows us to enjoy the winter when it inevitably comes. So, what if we changed the definition? What if success isn't the height of your salary, but the depth of your peace? If you hate what you do, you aren't successful. You're just a well-paid prisoner. That's why I think we should start working on our definitions of success. Maybe success is having the courage to do what you're passionate about, or is reaching a point where you can sit on a porch in the middle of summer and say, I'm waiting for winter, and feel absolutely no guilt about it. We've been fed the lie that we need to want what everyone else wants, but the objective definition of success is a myth. So don't let a society that doesn't know you tell you what your life should look like. I think we all have a version of success that we've been hiding away because it doesn't fit the mold. I'm curious, what's yours? What's one thing you'd do differently if money wasn't the way you measured your success? Let's talk about it in the comments. I'm reading all of them. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.